You will also have the opportunity to share this, view this. There will be a live recording afterwards. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. And without any further ado, I will pass it on over to Ken himself.
Thanks, guys, for attending. Billy, am I okay there for sound? Can you hear me okay?
Sound good.
All right, thanks, guys. Hey, listen, I want to thank you all for attending today. I'm actually doing a training class down here in South Carolina, so we're just taking a break for lunch so I could talk to you guys. We're doing a duct class down here and looking at just the challenges that we find out there with the duct systems. But for 2018, we thought we'd bring up 3 industry challenges that we'd like to, that a lot of contractors ask us about overcoming in their companies out there. And let's see if I can get this all to work here properly for me. So the first objective we want to look at is how do we lower our cost per lead? Some guys have a pretty good feeling of what their cost per lead is, and some people don't. If you don't know what your cost per lead is, it's a pretty easy equation. Basically, what you want to do is you want to take the amount of money that you spent last year on marketing. Anything you spent marketing-wise, whether you did a yellow page ad, and those are kind of gone, but some type of an ad campaign, maybe you did direct mail, anything you did to try and create new business, you total the dollars in your company. Once you've got your dollar amount totaled up, then what you do is you look at the amount of people that you got last year as new clients, and you divide it by that dollar amount. Or divide into that dollar amount, you'll quickly find out exactly how much each one of those new leads cost you. The secret is to getting as many leads as you can for as low as a dollar amount you can. There's some different theories on what costs are out there today. Some people will say your cost should be around $200 to $300. Yeah, that's probably an average cost of what people get, but if you can get it less than that, I was talking with a marketing gentleman last week, and if you can get it down to around $100 per lead, that makes a lot more sense to you as a businessman. So one of the things you want to do is try to figure out a way that you can lower your cost per lead. We'll give you some ideas on that here today. The other thing you want to do is increase your average ticket price. You're going to make a lot more money on a job if it's instead of $5,000, it's going to be $7,500, or instead of $15,000, it's going to be $17,500. So you want to increase your ticket price on every job that you possibly can. And then the last one that I hear from contractors, how do I retain my employees? They keep wanting to lose. So let's start out by looking at what contractors are doing for marketing in their company. This might be a familiar thing that you have seen out there. You've got Angie's List and Thumbtack, Home Advisor. Some contractors take advantage of this type of a service in their area, and some do not. What we're going to tell you on this right here is that when you are doing this type of advertising and you're relying on this, are you really building your brand? Are you building Ken's HVAC, or are you relying on Angie's List to have a brand out there for you? We feel at CI that the direction you go with this is that you're really building a brand for somebody else, and you are getting leads given to you. Now I know that I've heard guys say, well, the leads aren't that much, and maybe $65 seems like a low cost, but that $65 lead is also going to 3, maybe 4 other contractors, and so you're splitting it. And if you're splitting that lead, the other company is actually getting a lot more for it, but are you getting the lead from it? If you're not the first person there, sometimes we find that that's just not a great way to advertise. So what we suggest when it comes to advertising out there, build your brand, not theirs. You want to stop, what we like to say is you want to stop paying into nothing. A lot of marketing campaigns you do are going to cost you dollars every single month, whether or not it's dictating any leads to you. So that's something that's hard to take a look at in your business. How much am I getting every month? But probably the easiest one is what we call our new yellow pages, which is now the internet. So you want to stay on top of your web presence. Your SEOs, your SEMs, and your pay-per-click, they all need to be aligned. And what these have to be doing is giving you a great amount of leads for the least amount of money that you're going to spend. So you want to make sure that you are on top of those and what they're doing for you. Make sure you also include any other applicable websites that you might deal with. For example, maybe a brand of equipment that you sell, or your manufacturer's web pages. You want to get in line with them as well. The other thing too, for your internet, your page itself, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have referrals. Referrals are a great way of getting more business into your company. There's ways that you can get some very inexpensive referral systems that look for leads for you, help you out. There's one that I was just talking with, it's called Nearby Me. This is an application that you can get, and you can send it right from your technician to the homeowner. They can give you a 5-star and then send it right back, and it gets put right back into your web pages. So look for some ways that you can get some referrals, and then look for other ways that you can advertise. You know, when you're on a job, are you using yard signs? Yard signs get the attention of people in the neighborhood, get permission to leave them there for a little bit. Door hangers. There's a couple different theories on door hangers, but door hangers to me are a way that we can let people know what we do in our business, what we can do for them. Make sure your techs are dropping them off. We call it the circle of 9. When you work on one house, you go across the street, you drop off the 5 across the street and then 2 on either side. This is kind of a circle of 9 so that you let the neighbors know that you're working on their homes. Advertising in the newspaper. I have a friend of mine that always commented to me, you want to advertise in the newspaper, but never advertise in the newspaper. It never really made sense to me until he kind of explained it to me. He says, advertise as a flyer. When you advertise in the newspaper, sometimes it gets glossed over. A lot of people don't even look at newspapers per se like we used to, but they might buy one for a flyer that will fall out. So if you advertise for flyers, this is another good way that you can keep your costs down. Flyers, by the way, can be directed in your web or in your market area. You can send them to the right zip codes. If you don't want them in supermarkets and stands, you can say you don't want that to go into those areas. So you can direct it in the zip code for your town that works best for you. About half the cost of direct mail, and there's a pretty good return. But make sure if you're going to advertise in there, and for all advertising really, give me an offer. Too many times I've seen ads about companies, and we're talking about the business. We're talking about how long we've been around. Here's a picture of my truck and my tools and my dog. We're not looking for that. When you advertise something, you want somebody to say, I need to call these people, so give me an offer, something that you can instantly do for me that day. Now, direct mail, still a great way to do it. However, it does work best if it followed up with a phone call. So don't mail out so many that you can't do so. Look at your market area, look at what you want to do, and then follow up phone calls to the people you're going to send to. If you've got one person making phone calls, think about how many they can make in a day. I'm not saying you won't do a 10,000 campaign, 10,000 mailer campaign, but if you don't have the power to back that up making some phone calls, I'd rather see you do lesser amount of mail outs and follow up with a phone call. You'll find that you'll get a better return on it. Radio and TV ads. Get your name out, you become known in your brand area or known as a brand in your area. They work okay if you price it right. And there are ways that you can get good pricing. One of the ways is to do it towards the end of January, and you end up buying a full year. A lot of advertising goes down at that point in time because holidays are over. But there's also some things that you can do that you can put campaigns on to where maybe the radio or the TV ad will also be put on a pay for when it works, and there's some systems out there that can help you do that. You want to look at ways you can lower your cost per lead in the house out there. The other thing you want to know is you want to enhance the knowledge of what your people can do so that you can add more diversity to what you're selling. And we're in the heating and air conditioning business, but what else can we offer to the homeowner? Though the real secret to this is becoming a source that makes you related to everything in the home, such as comfort or clean air and the cost of actually using the equipment out there. So I'm sure some of you maybe listened to my webinars in the past, and we still go back to it to where you look at the house as a 3-legged stool. And when we look at the home, we understand there's a couple things about this house that don't always work right. So the first thing we always have is equipment like, and that's what we're good at. Manufacturers build good stuff. HVAC contractors, for the most part, are good at installing them, and we're good at servicing them. But I will just put a couple things out as equipment goes in general. First, you always want to make sure that you don't oversize your HVAC equipment, especially when you run into a more humid area. You want to get longer run times. Longer run times means better mixing. But the big thing is that when you have longer run times and accurate sizing, that system is running and it's dehumidified. It's always pulling moisture out of the air. One of the biggest challenges we have for contractors who live in humid parts of the country. Now, what happens when you do a load calc on it, okay? And you come up with that 2.2 tons. Well, should I go 2.5? Or maybe consider if it's down low enough going to 2 tons. Remember that 2.2 is peak load, and how many hours out of the day. So when you get too big in size, what will happen is you'll get some complaints. If you're running all the time, you pull moisture out, you actually see temperatures go up in the house. The other big thing too, when you put your new systems in today, you want to make sure you have the proper charge, which means we need to have a correct airflow. So if you're putting new systems in, have somebody do some startup commissioning. So whoever the tech is that will be charging the system, he'll actually know what the real airflow is, and he can get a much more accurate charge on the refrigerant. The second thing we look at, of course, in houses is called the duct system. Duct systems are an absolute disaster out there. In fact, in the booklet put out by DOE, they say that the typical duct system out there has the largest impact on an HVAC system. On the very first page, they say that the typical duct system loses somewhere to 25 to 40% of its heating or cooling energy put out by the central furnace heat pump air conditioner. Now, basement homes may not lose as much, but attic systems in hot and or humid climates can often lose a lot more. So depending on where you're at in this country, you could be losing a lot of your energy, and this is making your equipment not work properly. On the other hand, how many homes do we go into that maybe have decent working equipment, and no one's really asking to buy new equipment, but we've got a tech in there doing service, or maybe we're just doing maintenance? Can we be looking at duct systems at that point in time? So yeah, we sure can. I mean, here's one that a tech had, in fact, just sent me a picture of last week, where he's in an attic, he pulled back insulation, and he saw all the dirt on the underside of his insulation. He's up there looking. I mean, he's out there going for leads. He pulled back the insulation, see if it's leaking. He's got a real good picture of it, and he's able to take that down to the homeowner and show them they got a real big problem. To fix this right here, duct sealing is going to be required. Now, another technician in the company sent me the same picture. He pulled down a register when he was out doing a maintenance call. He looked up inside and he found that the ductwork had actually been disconnected. This is in between floors, so he wasn't able to go on top and notice it, but he took the time to pull down a few registers to see what was going on. He actually had found it by using just a little anemometer, and it just gave him enough of a reason to want to pull the register down. He looked to see what was going on. He didn't have good airflow in his mind. Something concerned him. So now he was able to find this and bring it to the homeowner's attention. If we have infrared cameras in our tech's hands, here's a good example of how we can demonstrate duct leakage in a home. I've got to the left me a digital shot of a transfer box up in an attic. I mean, all of us that are on the webinar today would agree that we definitely have a problem here and it's going to leak. But how do we get that homeowner to see it with the digital? With the infrared shot here, it's a lot easier for us to spot that problem and bring it to the attention of the homeowner. Here's another shot with the infrared, and we're showing it with the furnace off, and then to the right of here, we're showing it with the furnace on. Again, able to demonstrate the fact that we have duct leakage. We are in the duct business. It's part of what we should do. We should become duct experts within our industry. This is one of the ways that we can show homeowners what's happening in their homes and solve a lot of problems. Now, what about that boot that's under the sheetrock, or under the insulation, buried into the sheetrock up there? I mean, how do you spot that, look for leakage in it? With the infrared, it makes it very easy for me to see that, hey, we have an issue here, and I can take a tech and have him take pictures of it, and we can bring it to the attention of the homeowner, turn this into something more, get in there and find out what's going on. Even under insulation, whether it be in a crawl space or up in an attic, the infrared technology can help us determine whether or not we have problems. I won't say it'd be the only thing that may sell it for us, but at least it shows there's concerns, and we can turn it into something by doing some further diagnostics. You know, the big thing here for us is that we don't understand, I think, sometimes what it actually does to our HVAC system. You know, if you just have a 10% return leak coming from a 120-degree attic, you drop your capacity on that system by 30%. So if I had a 3-ton air conditioner that pulled 120 CFMs of air in from a 120-degree attic, my capacity just went down to a 2-ton. That's devastating to my HVAC system. So we look for duct leakage, we look at what's going on in houses, and these are things that we can bring to the attention of the homeowner just by doing some simple diagnostics later on in the home. Now, the last leg, of course, is the thermal envelope. I'm not going to tell every contractor that you have to be in the insulation business. I'm not going to say you have to be in the thermal envelope business, but I'm going to say that you better be aware of it. You know, the thermal envelope is something that keeps all of the heat in the inside of the house, and it stops the outside heat from coming into my home. It helps me make my house comfortable. If I don't have good insulation, well, it doesn't make sense to have a good high-efficiency air system in that home, because it's just not going to work properly. So again, some techniques today that we can use that make it easier for us not to crawl, and we can spot. So here we are in a house with a knee wall. The complaint from the homeowner is that the living room runs about 10 degrees warmer in the summertime and at least 10 degrees cooler in the wintertime. He wants to go up in equipment size. Now, would a bigger piece of equipment in this house really work? Not when you start looking beyond the box. In this particular case, the Real problem is that what you can see in the bright yellow is my 2 registers. It was heating season. The bright orange is where there's insulation, but where there's purple, well, there actually is none. Going up in the attic, we can see where the insulation has fallen off the knee wall here. So to make this room work right, the insulation has to be fixed. Now, this is something you can sub out. This is something you can do yourself, or you can have the homeowner do it. But somebody's got to fix that wall, because if we don't, then the room's still going to be that 10 degrees uncomfortable, and you're still going to have that complaint. So this is what we look at when we start going in beyond it. Here's a lady that asked for an extra duct to put into a kitchen, because in the wintertime it's very cold. Would putting another duct in the kitchen help? Well, if you've got the ability to do a quick little load on the home, you find out what they've got for airflow. And if it is enough coming in, maybe there's something else that's happening. In this particular situation, we had a fur down that was open to the attic space above. Again, not a hard fix. You put a top on it, you put insulation back over it, and you bring that space back into the house rather than being into the attic. Something you can do? Sure. Something you can sub out? Definitely. Get a handyman team, but you can add it to your job, or you can just explain it to the homeowner and have them find somebody. But putting another duct in, if it didn't solve the problem, we're back out there. Our biggest, I think, issue when we put jobs in houses is when they don't work. We have to go back, and every time we go back on that call, we're costing ourselves money. So ahead of time, if we can find out really what's going on, it makes a big difference. You know, the number one complaint I hear across the country, and I don't care where I'm at, my second floor, it never cools properly in the summertime. I mean, I hear it on airplanes. I hear it when I'm in hotels. You know, I travel a lot. So whenever I'm talking to people and they ask me about what I do and I explain a little bit, this is very common, especially that home that's got that basement. You know, the second floor, 85 degrees, main floor, 78 degrees. Basement, you could hang beef into it. What's going on? Well, part of it is going to be duct leakage. Duct leakage leaking back into the basement area, into the lower floors will make that area colder. But a lot of the fact is that I've also got heat coming from hot attics, because if you look at laws of physics and you have hot goes to cold, you got a hot attic air, 120, 130 degrees. Hot wants to move to the cold, so I got a house at 75 degrees on the inside. It'll just migrate down. But the other laws of physics says wet goes to dry. So humid areas that got a lot of moisture in it, the house is drier than the humid air in the attic, so that's going to migrate into the home as well. How does it get there? Hey, we've got a lot of holes in houses, plumbing holes, wire holes, and just the fact that when you put the house underneath a negative pressure and you start spotting, you'll find where all these holes are at. These are just the top plates. If you look on the right-hand side there, you'll see the gap between the boot and the sheetrock there. Very common. Over a period of years, when the house dries out, the wood will shrink up, but the sheetrock doesn't. We get gaps all the way across the top of that. That's how that air comes into these homes, and it can make these second floors very uncomfortable. So combining both sealing up ducts and air balance in the house, making sure that we've got a good tight envelope, these are things that we can offer to do way beyond the box. You know what I like about this type of work here? It doesn't have to be seasonal. This kind of stuff goes on daily. And if I've got technicians out there looking, or I'm listening to what they're saying, we can be in houses a lot of times looking for problems when the weather doesn't dictate it for us. So this is what performance contracting is really about. When you look at the attic floor, it is probably the leakiest surface of the entire house that we have out here. This picture right here was a picture I took a number of years ago with a client of mine. The house is only 7 years old. The homeowner wants to put in a bigger furnace and a bigger air conditioner. He said, I've tried everything else. Nothing seems to make my house work. Well, we get the opposite in the wintertime. In the wintertime, we have something called stack effect. Hot air wants to rise. See, I got a 4 square foot hole right in the middle of this guy's house. And what it does in the wintertime, it allows the heat from the home to go straight up into the attic, leave the building, which means outside air comes back in to make up for it. You know, one of the things, if you've ever done a load calculation, I've asked thousands of contractors about this as we talk in training classes. Where is the line in my load calc that says how much missing insulation and wide gaping open holes do I have in this attic floor? And the response is always the same, there isn't one. That's because it's assuming these are not there. When they are there, what this is going to do, it's going to affect my heating and cooling system. You have to understand, as an HVAC contractor, homeowners are expecting when we replace systems in homes brand new, their heating and cooling problems go away. But in many homes that we're in, these are solutions that we can add to an existing home. You know, they've given up. They don't know who to turn to. But you're the guy that understands it because you're a performance-based contractor. Do it yourself, I'm fine with. Sub it out, I'm okay with. But somebody's got to fix this. This is a big problem that we see in homes today. So there's the puzzle that we have. How far should we go? I mean, we're doing equipment, so we got that leg covered. I tell every contractor out there that I have a chance to talk to, we need to become duct experts. The duct is just an extension of my HVAC system. Without it, the heating and cooling BTUs just don't get to the rooms. Most duct systems are a mess out there, and we need to be back in charge of that duct and making sure it works. Then you've got to understand the thermal envelope. You've got to understand building science, because it holds all this heat together. It takes the cooling and makes my house comfortable. If I don't have a good thermal envelope, I don't have a good air barrier, then it falls down. Whether or not you want to do it yourself is up to you. You can sub it, you can recommend it, or you can bring it in-house, but you have to at least understand it. It's an important part of how the house actually works as an interactive system. Now, let me just talk a little bit real quick before we turn it over to John about training technicians. Here's something I hear a lot of times. If I train my techs, they're going to start a new business. They're going to go off, they're going to leave me, they're going to start on their own. Training is very pricey. It's, it's unnecessary. They came out of tech school, they should know how to work on equipment. We're busy, we just don't have time to train them. But here's the problem. They need to be continually trained to get them recertified if they become that way. So these are common beliefs that we have out there in the field. So I've always gone by this kind of a rule. You train your employees enough that they can start and run their own business. You pay them enough that they can't afford to, and then you value them that they don't want to. Your technicians are an integral part of your company, and they are great ways that we can generate leads. You know what? And even getting them trained, having them with NATE certification, getting BPI certified technicians, people do recognize that. It may not be as great as we'd like it to be, but when you have somebody that's got a certification on it, it tells the homeowner, this is a guy that's gone to school. He knows more than just any Tom, Dick, and Harry that walks into the home. But the big secret to your techs is get them to generate leads for you. They're already in the homes. We've been paid to run a sales call. We've been paid to look at what's going on. If you train your techs to look around and you give them some small test instruments, we're not talking great dollars here, guys. We're just talking small amount of money to get these into people's hands. These leads coming back can cost you very, very little. And so the result of that is going to be that you're going to make a lot more money. Let me take a real quick, just a spreadsheet here and show you. I'm going to take $1 million a year business, right around $1 million. He's got 2 technicians into it. He's got 1 comfort consultant. And what we want to do is we want to look a little bit beyond the box. So if you take a look at 2 technicians on day, I've got them figured out that they're going to be on average in about 4 homes. That means in 2 technicians over a week period of time, we're going to be in 40, which means over one month period of time, we're in 160 houses. Let's bring back just 10%. 10% leads from that 160 homes is going to generate me 16 homes that I can go out and take a look at. Now, I always encourage, we didn't have much of a chance to talk about it today, but we got to bring duct cleaning back into our business. Duct cleaning is our industry. It's not the carpet cleaning guys. If the ducts get dirty, typically there's a reason for it. Something's broken. But many people call about getting their ducts cleaned, and if we could turn those into better leads for us, let's just say that we had 2 a week coming in. That gave me only 8 in a month. And I was able to convert 2 of those over 25%. I've got another 2 homes that I'm being paid to look at, to see what I can do to help fix it. And then on our replacement side, I put down here that we have 4 replacement calls in a week. That means 16. Hopefully we're doing much better, but this is a pretty low number. If I could have my comfort consultant talk to the homeowner, introduce performance contracting as part of the way we do systems today, and I only got 50% of those, and I got another 8. What this means to me as a contractor is I've just generated 26 leads at a very, very low dollar cost. Now, let's say we have a closing ratio. Now, hopefully, John, when you get a chance to talk here, you can back me up with some of these numbers. John hasn't even talked about it, so I'm going off with numbers that hopefully he's even greater on. But let's say I have a closing ratio of 50%. 26 people, 50% means I'm going to sell 13 jobs. Let's take the average job side to be $2,500. I find that price is much higher than that, but I don't want to, I don't want to make this look like this is, something that's unattainable. This is numbers that we can do in our business today. So if I got 26 leads, I sold 50% of them, a $2,500 job, I created $3,200 and $32,500 for my business in a 1 month period of time. You average that out over a year, that's another $390,000. I'm sure no matter what size business you are, we'd all appreciate getting another $390,000 worth of work out there for our company today. So by using my techs, by going beyond the box, we're able to do that. The result is, well, our lower cost per lead, We'll increase our sales and revenues. We have more loyalty. We are different than the rest of the competition out there. Our job sizes go up. We're going to find things that are obviously wrong in the houses, so we're going to make more money. And the best thing about it for me is it takes the seasonality out of our business. You know, part of the problem we have as HVAC contractors, if it's not cold outside, what do? See, performance contracting gives me something that I can look to. Employee retention, you know, I think a lot of the reason why we have people leaving us is we don't have work. I lay them off, they have to go look for a job. Let's keep them busy. Let's pay them well. Let's value them. They're not going to leave you. They're going to stay with you. Bottom line, you're going to provide better customer service to your homeowner out there. And that's really what we need to be doing, taking care of our client, because they're in the end are the ones that are making us stay in business. So, excuse me here, guys, I'm running a little bit of a cold. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to turn it over to John here. A little introduction on John Barron. I've known John for, oh God, I guess about 45 years. Excuse me, John and I went to high school together. He's now the owner of his father's business that he took over, Barron Heating and Air Conditioning. They're out of Bellingham, Washington. I guess it's been about 7 or 8 years now, I guess, that John came into CI membership area and decided to get on board with us. And I'm just going to let him talk about what it's done for him in his business. So, John, if you're out there, you can go ahead and jump in. I'm going to mute myself, if you don't mind.
Sounds great, Ken. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everybody, for having me. A real privilege. So as Ken gave a little bit of background, we're a company that's north of Seattle. We work in about a 5-county area. I'm a third generation. You know, my grandfather started, it was a term to ironmongers. It goes that far back. But in any event, I've always been really passionate about what we did. 2012, as Ken alluded, is when we actually made the decision. I've been hearing about, you know, performance contracting and using building science and that kind of thing, and reading different things through, you know, all the different industry journals and conferences and stuff like that. Quite frankly, I kind of thought it was probably a Band-Aid for people that couldn't put in heating systems real efficient and quick and neat and work with the best equipment. Well, man, I tell you, 2012, because of the fact I was benchmarking, networking with some other companies, and I got to hear some stories about what was going on for the customers of these companies that were using building science and taking a look at duct systems and challenges and problems in a different way, taking a different filter that they were looking at, because we felt we were world class at putting in equipment faster and better and neater and everything else than anybody else in our industry. But you know, when we did some investigation based on benchmarking from other companies that had been into this, and we were hearing that they were making a huge difference and getting great feedback from the customers and that they were doing work for, and then also hearing about, you know, the jobs that were closing and the closure rates and that kind of thing. So 2012, we had a number of people, a couple principals in the company, you know, service managers, sales manager, 2 of my lead sales guys, a couple service people, and we went down and we started the process. Anyhow, the short of it is that we just, I mean, it was almost like a flame started going through the company. I mean, our employees internally, we started doing things and looking at duct leakage and challenges in homes and what were going on. And we started truly solving challenges. And yeah, money follows. I mean, there's great money. Ken was talking about, Ken, I mean, we could probably be here. I could probably be 2 weeks talking about all the benefits in terms of what has benefited internally, in terms of our people, the conviction about what we do as a company and how we do things and the difference we make for people. And, you know, side notes, like even bunny trail and talk about some of my employees have been trying to be pirated by other competitors and them going and doing research and finding out, you know, all these people want to do is just sell boxes. They just want to sell a furnace, an air conditioner, a heat pump filter. But they're really not getting after the root of what this Barron, what we're about as a company. So the retainage thing is huge. In terms of the average dollar ticket, geez, Ken, I mean, and Bill, I got to tell you something, and everybody listening, it was just amazing. The closure rate along with the average dollar ticket. And again, this wasn't the reason as per se. No one really know me a whole lot that's listening, but I'm really passionate about really trying to improve people's lives and to make a difference for the customer. And it's one thing to say it, but the other thing is to show it and to do it and to care. When you get done, you get finished, and you can have customers that will actually make comments and say, you know something, I feel like I'm living in a different house I mean, and other stories I could go on and on about, people that have got away from even from challenges with allergies and taking allergy medication. I mean, literally shots once a week, and to getting where they don't have any shots are taken, to people that have, diagnosed rash on face and neck and stuff like that for 5 years, and their house was broken, and they had all kinds of challenges going on. So I'm not going to get into particular details of that, other than the fact of, we decided, just to let you know, there's places that you can get this. We have absolutely not, just because I'm on this webinar, I'm not getting paid for this at all, to let everybody know that's listening, but we got involved. I had a little background with Ken, and boy, I tell you, I wish he would have just grabbed me and horse collared me earlier, but because maybe we would have started way before 2012, but we made a decision. We kind of to burn the ships, as to say, and we went and we actually went through the training. We went through a boot camp, and it was literally a light bulb, moment for those participants of Barron Heating that went through that. And it's an ongoing process, I will say that. But man, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, when you go home, and you get to hear the stories, you get the feedback, you get to see how excited the employees are and stuff like that, and the team workers internally. And I'm telling you what, it's so exciting. I've been almost 45 years with the company. Bought the company about 20 years ago from my mom and dad, and with my business partner. And I kind of got to a point where I figured, how much better can you do this, everything else like that. In 2012, when we entered into home performance contracting and using building science and making a true difference to people in buildings, in homes, in terms of comfort, in terms of health, in terms of truly lowering operating costs. Before that, we were putting in stuff and great, but they were still having challenges and stuff because we weren't looking at what was going on. And I got to tell you something, if we're going to be in this industry, we want to make a difference. I believe that. You just got to be passionate about making that difference. So yeah, closure rates, you guys probably won't, the listening probably won't believe me, when the estimators and the comfort consultants go out and they are armed with this information. Every one of my estimators has been through the training and gone through it, and a number of them have gone through and gotten the BPI certification. Not that you need to have that, but what's important is to actually have that basis foundation so that you know how to solve challenges, you know how to solve problems. And I'm telling you what, it is so addicting as a business owner because of what happens in the community. And all of a sudden people start finding out you're the one that can take care of things. You're the one that can make that difference. And your people know it and they take pride in it. And pretty soon everybody's excited. And yeah, I get pretty excited. Ken knows me and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, I've never been more excited. It is the number one thing that we have done as a company, period. I do think that Comfort Institute is just an absolute wonderful. They take calls anytime. Man, I tell you, Ken and between Ken and Brendan, different people. I like the fact that they merged and partnered together with AeroSeal, and not doing a commercial here, but one of the reasons we got into AeroSeal, just to let you know, was a side part of what Comfort Institute on sealing duct, because duct leakage is really a challenge. So as we got into it, we brought that in as a second tier because we realized it was the best way to be able to seal up ductwork. Now, people don't have to do that, and they can sub out any of this kind of stuff. I'm available for any calls. Anybody wants to call me, I'm sure they'll give my information out. I'm always welcome because I want to make sure in the communities that we live in, regardless of the state of Washington or as Colorado, as the South or the Midwest, I really want to make sure that we're all making a difference for those people that we're serving.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate you joining us here. John, why don't you, if you don't mind, why don't you just go ahead and I think probably the best way, guys, if we want to reach out to John for questions, would be probably just through email. Would that work best for you, John?
Yeah, you bet. And give me a little bit because any of you guys know what trying to keep track of. So I can be called too. You can Google and call direct in, go to voicemail. But my email is johnb@barronheating.com. That's JOHN, as in boy, @barronheating.com. And I know I shared a whole bunch and real quick and no particular details, but I will share this just to reiterate. What we did in terms of getting involved in performance contracting and using building science and those principles was game changing for our company. It is the number one thing that we have done in the history of my time with the company.
Well, again, thank you, John. I appreciate your time and taking away from your day today. And hopefully I will see you soon one of these days. John and I actually live in the same town together, but we very seldom see each other. He's busy
That's right.
and I'm traveling a lot, but we'll get out there and stop by and see you guys. All right. Thanks again, John.
Thank you.
You bet. And so, guys, let me just finish up here real fast. How can CI help you? There's a couple different things that we can do to help you. We can, we do individual training for contractors. You can buy a la carte, but probably the best way to get involved with us is to become part of our membership program. Our membership program starts out with 3 days where we do a regional kickstart training. We hold it at our facility in Dayton, Ohio. That's usually for owners or key managers that you want to get involved in. We offer training classes. Now, a lot of the training classes we move across the country. However, John did mention the BPI one. I do a BPI course, and I only do it in the Dayton training room for a number of reasons why. It's a pretty intense class. It's 4 days, and at the end we offer the written exams on Friday. I find that when I used to travel with it, unfortunately, when somebody would get done with the class, they'd go back and life would hit them in the face. Hard to study, hard to get things done. And the whole idea behind this is that you want to pass these exams. So there's 2 exams that we give on the end of it. We find coming into our location, taking the time to study, having the chance to go out and use test instruments makes a big difference on wanting to get that. Now, the other classes that we offer a crash course in home performance. This is a class that we just move around the country. You can see on our training schedule on the calendar at www.comfortinstitute.org, where I'll be holding this class. This is for people that want to understand building science, but don't necessarily want to get BPI, don't necessarily want to go that far. I get a lot of techs going through this class, even a lot of the installers, so they get a better feeling of why they're doing this type of work. Then I do a duct performance class. This is another one I move around. Again, this week I'm actually in South Carolina, in Columbia, and we're doing a duct class here. And then I do a 1-day service tech class. Now I move this one around a lot. This one here is a tech class that opens up home performance, but the real reason for this class is let's get our techs, like John said, excited about bringing us back leads. These guys are in the field. They need to understand why we do this, but more importantly, that when we do this, it actually works. Techs are great people to help us build our business, but they have to believe in it. If they don't believe in it, they're not going to be the first line in on the fence there, because they knows that they're the backup coming back in afterwards. So we've got that. We're also available for any coaching that you need. We do one-on-one. I'll be next week up at a contractor's office in Boston, where I'm coming in and doing a couple of days of training for him just by himself and all his people. So we have dealer level coaching sessions that we can provide for you. We have our own proprietary software. We do blower door testing, but we also do duct leakage testing. And this software then can also degrade the equipment. Great tool for showing homeowners what's really going on with their HVAC system. For the first time, I can tell them what they're actually going to get miles per hour, like the car people don't do. I can actually say, because of your ducts, because of your home, I've got something that can show you what's really happening. Well, of course, we go along with our tech class. We also have a technician lead generation system that we put together to help generate leads for your business, and we train you both at the 3-day kickstart, and then we help you with your tech classes, getting them to buy into it as well. We also have some other things that just don't fall into performance contracting, but we have a consumer financing program. Our membership includes the Service Roundtable membership. So if you're not a member, you will be. If you are a member, we'll take that $50 per month value and we'll take it over for you. So that saves you a little bit there. What's nice about it, if you look down a little bit there, Service Roundtable has a great rebate program. So if you're not taking advantage of it, we encourage you to do so. Because we're performance-based, we've also got you into the BPI Gold Star program. Now, the BPI Gold Star program, to get started, first off, it's going to cost you $1,250 per year to be part of it. And you must have all of your certificates and all of your test instruments and all of your training out of the way. We've got you a 1-year window. So from the time you join us, 1 year later, once you signed up under that, you would have to have all the tools, the training, but you've got that window that you can get onto their website. They also do marketing. They also reach out to homeowners. They are another resource that we can use to get leads into our business. And then every year together as an industry or as a company, we bring all of our dealers, whether it's CI, Indoor, AeroSeal, we bring them together for a big meeting that we're going to be kicking off for a new year and starting. We do this once a year. We move it around. This next year, it'll be in Dayton, Ohio. And so we're encouraging all of our people to get to this one. We had a great one last year. Tracy Martin, who handled it and put it together, did a great job on it. We had a wonderful time, great speakers, and I think she's going to outdo herself on the next one. All right, now in addition to that, we've got also a couple of other ways we can help you. We've got a digital lead generation system where we digitally generate leads for your business. We manage your website, we design it, we host your website. All the content comes from you and local content in your area. This is about your brand, okay? We're going to pay for your SEO, SEM, and pay-per-clicks. We're going to take care of all that. If there's any changes need to be done, we'll go ahead and take care of that, no charge for you. The nice thing about this one is that you only pay us if we generate a brand new lead. If an existing client, somebody came off one of your marketing programs, this is not something that we charge you for, but we'll take care of any brand new lead that comes into your business, and that's all you have to pay for. So we're taking the risk. If we can't generate you leads, you're not paying along the line. Now, with that, we also have the backside of it. More than I can go into today, but we have a platform for tracking. You can add your own into it. It's a great way to understand really what's driving business to your company. So that would be something else you can look at through your CI membership. And then we also just have a way that we could manage your website. We call it Build Your Brand. Okay, we'll design your website. We host it again. We update it always for you. On this particular one, though, there is no SEOs or pay-per-clicks, SEMs. This one here is just a flat fee per month. No worries. You don't have to worry about your web page. We'll take care of it. We'll make sure it's working. We design it, though, so that people will go to your website. Your job, however, though, in either case is to make sure if the phone rings at your business, somebody picks it up. Too many times in the years I've seen where that's a challenge. So these are additional services we can offer for you, plus our training of your technicians. We've got a great program put together for a contractor to get you into performance-based contracting. We'll help you find test instruments. We'll put you in the right direction toward that. We'll teach you how to use them, and we'll teach you how to move your business forward. You know, this is a changing time that we live in, and the HVAC industry is changing with it. So we've got to go along as well. So bottom line is, give us a call. If you're interested or thought about it in the past, we can sign you up, okay? However, you still have questions, if you give a call, if you ask for Alex.Rice, he's our inside sales guy. He'll take about an hour of your time. He'll go through and we'll see how this works for you and your business. And then you can make a decision. You want to call our number at 800-933-5656. Again, ask for Alex.Rice. He's our inside person that can help you out. Or if you want to reach out to me, of course, my name is Ken Summers, and you can call me on my cell phone, 360-201-1467. If you get voicemail, I will call you back. You can always text me or give me an email at ken@ciinfo.org, and I look forward for talking to you in the future. Guys, listen, I'm going to have to run here. I'm going to turn it back over to Billy. And if you have questions, Billy, I'm not sure if anything came in while we were talking. Maybe I can take a few minutes here, but I do have a training class. I got to start up here in a few minutes. So I'll turn it back to Billy, and if there's a couple of quick ones that come in, I'll see if I can get some answers for you. Otherwise, we'll follow up later on. Oh, for your convenience also, there'll be a free recording. You'll have access to this so that you can rewatch it, share with other people in your company, and see how this is going to fit into your business. So, Billy, are you there for me?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ken. So with that in mind and everything, I hope you took some of this away. If you do, like Ken said, have any questions, feel free to ask them now while we have Ken. I think we also have John on the line still as well. So both of them are here for a few more minutes, but we're going to try to get Ken back to his training class. So I'll hang out for a second and see what you guys have for us. So this one may be a Ken and a John question. Of the three legs of the stool that you showcased, is there any one in particular that's more important than the other, or how do you see them working?
Well, okay, I can answer for that real quick. Whenever I look at the home, okay, and I, without trying to get too technical and beyond that, but houses run at certain pressures, and so do duct systems. So when researchers started looking at ducts years ago, they found out if you have a 1 square inch hole in a duct system, it has the same impact as a 30 square inch hole in an outside wall because of this big fan that we have as a driving force through it. So the biggest bang for the buck in anything we do in the home is, number one, making sure our ducts are working right. That is going to be the biggest return right away. We've got to get the air to the individual rooms. Now, not to say that the envelope is not something we want to look at, but the pressures are so much lesser due to stack effect indoor wind that the small holes in the duct system add up to be giant holes that would be in the house. So a home that's got, average a little bit amount of leakage to the outside can be losing heat, but the duct system with any type of holes in it can be 3, 4, 5 times even greater than that. So the duct system to me is the most important step as far as looking at what we got to do first. And then after that, next is my thermal envelope. So hopefully, without trying to get too technical here and show you too much, that kind of answers your question.
And Ken, I'll jump in there, John, real quick. I absolutely 100% agree. You really can't ignore the other things, but if you've got a leaking duct system, just forget it, because it doesn't matter what you're doing. That needs to be taken care of first. You're right, Ken. That leak, because of the pressure of the air handler, the blower, is behind that leak. It's way greater in terms of pressure than the actual any house leak. House leaks are really important, so it's all important. Duct leaks number one. Got to nail that down first. Then you look at the other things.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I do not see any others that have come through. So if you feel that the question comes up or anything, feel free to reach out. Ken's information's there. Alex's information was sent, I believe, in a prior email. So feel free to reach out with any questions or anything that may come up in the future. But for now, I guess we'll see you later.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.